The Lost Book of Enki, the 8th Tablet. Let Adapa the earthling to Nibiru be brought, so did Anu his decision declare. By the decision Enlil was not pleased. Whoever of this would have thought, that by a primitive worker fashioning, like us the being would become, with knowledge endowed between heaven and earth will travel, on Nibiru the waters of long life he will drink, the food of long life eat. Like one of us Anunnaki shall the one of earth become. So was Enlil to Enki and the other leaders saying. By the decision of Anu, Enki too was not pleased. Sullen was his face after Anu had spoken. After Enlil had spoken, with Enlil his brother Enki agreed. Indeed, who of this would have thought? So too the others did, Enki say. The brothers sat and contemplated. Ninmah with them was also deliberating. The command of Anu cannot be avoided. To them she said, Let Adapa by our young ones to Nibiru be accompanied, his flight to diminish, to Anu things explain. So did Enki to the others say, Let Ningishzida and Dumunzi his companion be. By the way, Nibiru for the first time with their eyes also see. By Ninmah was the suggestion favored, our young ones on earth born. Of Nibiru are forgetting. Its life cycle by those of earth are overwhelmed. Let the two sons of Enki, as yet unmarried, to Nibiru also travel. Perchance brides there for themselves they shall find. When the next celestial chamber from Nibiru did arrive in Sipar, Ilbrat, a visor of Anu, from the chamber stepped off. I've come to fetch the earthling Adapa. So to the leaders he said. The leader to Albrat, Adapa presented. Titi and her son to him they also showed. Indeed, in our image and after our likeness they are. So did Ibrat say. Ilbrat, Ningishzida, and Dumunzi, sons of Enki, were presented. To accompany Adapa on his journey, they have been selected, to him Enki said. Anu, his grandchildren to see, will be pleased, so did Albrat say. To hear instructions, Enki, Adapa to him summoned. To Adapa thus he said, Adapa, to Nibiru, the planet whence we had come, you will be going. Before Anu our king, you will come. To his majesty you will be presented. Before him you shall bow, speak only when asked. To questions, short answers give. New clothing you will be given, the new garments put on. A bread on earth not found they to you will give. The bread is death, do not eat. And a chalice, an elixir to drink, they to you will give. The elixir is death, do not drink. With you, Ningishzida and Dumunzi, my sons will journey. To their words, hearken, and you shall live. So did Enki, Adapa instruct. This I shall remember, Adapa said. Enki, Ningishzida, and Dumunzi summoned to them. A blessing and advice he gave. Before Anu, the king, my father, you are coming. To him you shall bow and homage pay. By princes and nobles do not be coward. Of them you are the equals. To bring Adapa back to earth is your mission. By Nibiru's delights be not charmed. This we shall remember, Ningishzida and Dumunzi said. His young one, Dumunzi, Enki embraced. On the forehead he kissed him. The wise one, Ningishzida, Enki embraced. On the forehead he kissed him. A seal tablet in the hand of Ningishzida unseen he placed. To my father Anu this tablet in your secret you shall give. So did Enki to Ningishzida say. Then the two with Adapa to Sipar departed. To the palace of celestial chariots they went. To Albrat, Anu's visor, the three of them themselves presented. To Ningishzida and Dumunzi, the garb of Ijiji was given. Like celestial eagles they were dressed. For Adapa, his unkept hair was shaven. A helmet, as that of an eagle, was given. Instead of his loincloth, a tight-fitted vestment he was made to wear. Between Ningishzida and Dumunzi, inside that which ascends, he was placed. When the signal was given, the celestial chariot roared and shuddered. In fright did Adapa cower and cry out. The eagle without wings is soaring. Upon his sides Ningishzida and Dumunzi their arms placed, with soothing words they him calmed. With 1 league aloft they were borne, upon the earth they glanced out, its lands they saw, by seas and oceans and to parts separated. When 2 leagues aloft they were, the ocean to a tub grew smaller, the land was the size of a basket. When 3 leagues aloft they were, again they cast a glance whence they had departed. The earth was now a small ball, by a sea of darkness, and the vastness swallowed. Once again Adapa agitated was. He cowered and cried out. "Take me back," he shouted. Ningishzida his hand on the neck of Adapa put. In an instant Adapa was quiet. When they on Nibiru landed, there was much curiosity. The children of Enki on earth born to see, even more so an earthling to encounter. A being from another world on Nibiru has arrived, so were the crowd shouting. With Illibrat to the palace they were taken, to be washed and with perfumed oils anointed. Fresh and befitted garments they were given. Heeded Enki's words, Adapa the new clothing did put on. In the palace nobles and heroes milled about. In the throne room princes and counselors gathered. To the throne room by Illibrat they were led, Adapa behind him, then the 2 sons of Enki. In the throne room before Anu, the king, they bowed. From his throne Anu stepped forward. my grandsons, he cried out. He hugged Dumunzi, he hugged Ningishzida. With tears in his eyes he embraced them, he kissed them. To his right Dumunzi he bade to be seated, on his left Ningishzida sat. Then Illibrat to Anu the earthling Adapa presented. Does he our speech understand? Anu the king of Ibrat inquired. Indeed he does, by the lord Enki he was taught. Illibrat so answered. Come hither, Anu to Adapa said. What is your name and your occupation? Forward Adapa stepped. Again he bowed. Adapa is my name. Of the lord Enki, a servant. So did Adapa inward speak. His speaking great amazement was causing. A wonder of wonders on earth has been attained, Anu declared. A wonder of wonders on earth has been attained. All the assembly shouted. Let there a celebration be. Let us, our guests, thus welcome, Anu was saying. To the banquet room Anu all who were assembled led. To the laden tables he happily gestured. At the laden tables bread of Nibiru Adapa was offered. He did not eat it. At the laden tables elixir of Nibiru Adapa was offered. He did not drink it. By this Anu the king was puzzled, was offended. Why was Enki to Nibiru, this ill-mannered earthling, sent? To him the celestial ways revealed? Come now, Adapa, to Adapa Anu said. Why did you neither eat nor drink, our hospitality rejected? My master, the lord Enki, commanded me, the bread do not eat, the elixir do not drink. So did Adapa the king Anu answer. How odd is this thing, Anu was saying. For what has Enki from an earthling our food and elixir prevented? He asked Illibrat. He asked Dumunzi. Illibrat the answer knew not. Dumunzi could not explain. He asked Ningishzida. Perchance in this lies the answer, Ningishzida to Anu said. The secret tablet that he carried hidden to Anu. The king he then gave. Puzzled was Anu. Anu was concerned. To his private chamber he went, the tablet to decipher. Now this is the account of Adapa, of civilized mankind the progenitor, and how by his sons Cain and Abel citation on earth was started. In his private chamber Anu the tablet's seal broke open, and to the scanner the tablet he inserted its message from Enki to decipher. Adapa, by my seed, to an earthling woman was born. So did the message from Enki say. Likewise was Titi by another earthling woman of my seed conceived. With wisdom and speech they are endowed. With Nibiru's long life they are not. The bread of long living he should not eat. The elixir of long life he should not drink. To live and die on earth Adapa must return, mortality his lot must be. By the sowing and shepherding, by his offering on earth sedation shall be. So did Enki the secret of Adapa to his father Anu reveal. By the secret message from Enki Anu was astounded, whether to angry be or laugh he knew not. Illibrat his visor to his private chamber he summoned. To him he thus said, that son of mine Ea, even as Enki, his free ways with females has not mended. To Illibrat his visor the message on the tablet he showed. What are the rules? What is the king to do? Of his visor Anu inquired. Concubines by our rules are permitted. Of interplanetary concubines no rules exist. So did Illibrat to the king respond. If damage there be, let it be restricted. Let Adapa forthwith to earth be returned. Let Ningishzida and Demunzi longer stay. Anu then Ningishzida to his private chamber summoned. Know you what your father's message said? Of Ningishzida he inquired. Ningishzida his head lowered. With whispering voice he said, I know not, but guess I can. The life essence of Adapa I have tested. Of Enki's seed he is. That indeed is the message, to him Anu said. Adapa to earth forthwith shall return. To be of civilized man, a progenitor his destiny shall be. As for you, Ningishzida, to earth with Adapa you shall return. Of civilized man at your father's side to become the teacher. So did Anu the king the decision make. The destiny of Adapa and Ningishzida he determined. To the assembled savants and nobles, princes and counselors, Anu and the other two returned. To the assembled words of decision Anu announced. The welcome to the earthling must not be overextended. On our planet he cannot eat or drink. Of his astounding abilities we have seen. Let him to earth return. Let his offspring there on earth fields till and in meadows shepherd. To ensure his safety and avoid his agitation, Ningishzida with him back will travel. With him the seed of Nibiru, of grains which multiply, to earth will be sent. Demunzi, the youngest, for Ashar with us shall stay. Then to earth, with ewes and the essence of sheep, he shall return. This was the decision of Anu. To the king's word, all in agreement, their heads bowed. At the appointed time, Ningishzida and Adapa to the place of the celestial chariots were taken. Anu and Demunzi, Illibrat, and counselors, nobles, and heroes to them farewell bade. There was roaring and shuddering, and the chariots was lofted. The planet Nibiru grow smaller they saw. Then from horizon to zenith the heavens they saw. On their journey, Ningishzida to Adapa the planet gods examined. Of sun and earth and the moon to him lessons he gave. Of how the months chase one another, and how earth's year is counted, him he taught. When to earth they returned, to his father Enki, Ningishzida all that had happened related. Enki laughed and struck his loins. It all went as I expected, with glee he said, except the detention of Demunzi. That is to me a puzzle, so did Enki say. By the prompt return of Ningishzida and Adapa, Enlil was greatly puzzled. What is the matter? What on Nibiru transpired? Of Enki and Ningishzida he inquired. Let Ninmah too be summoned. Let her too of what transpired hear, Enki to him said. After Ninmah arrived to Enlil, and to her Ningishzida all did tell. Enki his cohabitation with the earthling females also related. No rules have I broken, our sedation I have ensured, so Enki to them said. No rules did you break, the fates of Anunnaki and earthlings by a rash deed you determined. So did Enlil in anger say. Now the lot is cast, destiny by fate is overtaken. With fury was Enlil seized, with anger he turned and left them standing. To Eridu Marduk came. By his mother, Damkina, was he summoned. The odd ongoings to verify of his father and brother he demanded. To keep the secret from Marduk hidden, father and brother decided. Anu, by the civilized man, was enthralled. To at once all on earth sedate he commanded. So they to Marduk only part of the earth revealed. By Adapa and Titi Marduk was impressed. To the boys he took a liking. While Ningishzida Adapa is instructing, let me, the boys, teacher be. So did Marduk to his father, Enki, and to Enlil say, let Marduk teach one, let Ninruta teach the other. To them Enlil responded. In Eridu, Ningishzida with Adapa and Titi stayed. Numbers and writings Adapa he taught. The twin who was first in birth, Ninruta, to bad Tiberia his city took. Cain, he who in the fields foods grow, called him. To dig canals for watering he taught him. Sowing and reaping he was teaching. A plow from the wood of trees Ninruta for Cain made, with a tiller of the land to be. The other brother, son of Adapa, by Marduk to the meadows was taken. Abel, he of the watered meadows his name, was thereafter called. How to build stalls Marduk him taught. For shepherding to start the return of Dumunzi they waited. When the shar was completed, Dumunzi to earth returned. The essence seed of sheep, ewes, for the growing, with him he brought. Four-legged animals of Nibiru to another planet, the earth he conveyed. His return with essence seed and ewes was cause for much celebration. And to the care of his father, Enki Dumunzi with his precious cargo returned. The leaders then got together, how to proceed with the new breed they considered. Never before was there an ewe on earth, a lamb has never to earth from the heavens been dropped. A she-goat has never before to her kid given birth. Weaving of sheep's wool has never before been established. The Anunnaki leaders, Enki and Enlil, Ninma and Ningishzida, who the creators were, a creation chamber, a house of fashioning, to establish decided. Upon the pure mound of the landing place in the cedar mountains it was established. Near where the elixir seed of Ninma brought were planted there was the creation chamber established. There was the multiplying of the grains and of the ewes of the earth began. Of Cain, for sowing and reaping, Ninruta was the mentor. Of Abel, the arts of the ewe and lamb, rearing and shepherding, Marduk was the mentor. When the first crops were reaped, when the first sheep matured, let there be a celebration of first, Enlil a decree proclaimed. Before the assembled Anunnaki, the first grains, the first lambs were presented. At the feet of Enlil and Enki, Cain by Ninruta guided his offering placed. At the feet of Enlil and Enki, Abel by Marduk guided his offerings placed. Enlil to the brothers gave a joyful blessing, their labors he extolled. Enki, his son Marduk embraced, the lamb for all to see he raised. Meat for eating, wool for wearing, to earth have come, Enki said. Now this is the account of the generations of Adapa, and the killing of Abel by Cain, and what thereafter transpired. After the celebration of first was over, sullen was Cain's face. By the lack of Enki's blessing greatly he was aggrieved. As to their task the brothers returned. Abel before his brother was boasting, I am the one who abundance brings, who the Anunnaki sedates, who gives the strength to the horses, whose wool for their clothing provides. Cain, by his brother's words, was offended. To his boasting strongly he objected. It is I who the plains luxuriates, who furrows with grains make heavy, in whose fields birds multiply, and whose canals fish become abundant. Sustaining bread by me is produced, with fish and fowl the Anunnaki diet I variate. On and on the twin brothers each other disputed. Through the winter-time they argued. When summer began it was not raining. The meadows were dry, the pastures dwindled. In the fields of his brother Abel his flocks drove, from the furrows and the canals to drinking water. By this Cain was angered. To move the flocks away his brother he commanded. Farmer and shepherd, brother and brother, words of accusations uttered. They spat on each other. With their fists they fought. Greatly enraged, Cain a stone picked up. With it Abel in the head struck. Again and again he hit him, until Abel fell, his blood from him gushing. When Cain his brother's blood saw, Abel, my brother, he shouted. Motionless on the ground did Abel remain. From him his soul had departed. By the brother whom he had killed Cain remained. For a long time he sat crying. Titi it was who of the killing was the first to know, by premonition. In a dream vision, as she was sleeping, Abel's blood she saw, in the hand of Cain it was. Adapa from his sleep she awakened. Her dream vision to him she told. A heavy sorrow fills my heart. Did something terrifying happen? So did Titi to Adapa say. Greatly agitated she was. In the morning the two from Eridu departed. To the whereabouts of Cain and Abel they went. In the field they found Cain. By the dead Abel he was still seated. A great cry of agony Titi shouted. Adapa spread mud on his head. What have you done? What have you done to Cain? They shouted. Silence was Cain's answer. To the ground he threw himself and wept. To Eridu's city Adapa returned. What had happened to the Lord Enki he told. With fury Enki Cain confronted. Accused you shall be, to him he said. From the Eden you must depart. Among Anunnaki and civilized earthlings you shall not stay. As to Abel, in the fields his body cannot for the wild birds remain. As the Anunnaki custom is, he in a grave below a stone pile shall be buried. How Abel to bury Enki to Adapa and Titi showed, for the custom to them was not known. For 30 days and 30 nights was Abel by his parents mourned. Eridu for the judgment Cain was brought. The exile's sentence to pronounce Enki wished. Cain himself must be slain. So did Marduk with anger say. Let the 7 who judge be assembled. So did Ninruta of Cain, the mentor, say. Whoever of such an assembling ever heard, Marduk shouted, that for one not from Nibiru Anunnaki leaders shall to judge be called. It is not enough that one by Ninruta mentioned, the one by me favored was killed. Is it not that as Ninruta Anzu did vanquish, so did Cain against his brothers rise? Like the fate of Anzu, Cain's fate should be his life breath to be extinguished. So did Marduk in anger to Enki, Enlil, and Ninruta say. Ninruta by the words of Marduk was saddened. Silence, not words, his answer was. Let me with Marduk, my son, words in private have, to them Enki said. When in Enki's private chambers he and Marduk were. My son, to Marduk Enki softly spoke. Your agony is great. Let us not agony with agony compound. A secret that on my heart has heavily and burden, let me to you tell. Once upon a time, as by the river I strolled, 2 earthling maidens my fancy caught. By them from my seed were Adapa and Titi conceived. A new kind of earthling, a civilized man, by that upon the earth was brought. Whether they to procreate were able, our King Anu in doubt was. By the birth of Cain and Abel were Anu and the council on Nibiru convinced. A new phase of Anunnaki presence on this planet was welcomed and approved. Now that Abel has been slain, and if Cain too shall be extinguished, cessation to an end would come, mutinies will be repeated, all that was achieved shall crumble. No wonder that to Abel a liking you took. The son of your half-brother he was. Now on the other one have pity. Let the line of Adapa survive. So did Enki with sadness, a secret to Marduk his son reveal. By the revelation, Marduk was at first astounded. Then by laughter he was overcome. Of your love-making prowess, much to me was rumored. Now of that convinced I am. Indeed, let Cain's life be spared. To the ends of the earth let him be banished. So did Marduk, from anger to laughter changing, to his father say. In Eridu judgment upon Cain by Enki was pronounced. Eastward, to a land of wandering, for his evil deed Cain must depart. That his life must be spared. He and his generation shall distinguish. By Ningishzida was the life essence of Cain altered. That his face a beard should not grow. Cain's life essence Ningishzida changed. With his sister Awan as a spouse, Cain from the Eden departed. To the land of wandering he set his course. Now the Anunnaki sat, and among themselves wondered. Without Abel, without Cain, who shall for us the grains grow and bread make? Who shall be the shepherd, the ewes multiply, wool for clothing provide? Let by Adapa and Titi more proliferation be, so did the Anunnaki say. With the blessing of Enki, Adapa, his spouse, Titi, knew again and again. One daughter, another daughter, each time, again and again, were born. In the 95th Shar, a son Adapa and Titi finally had. Sati, he who life binds again, Titi him named. By him were the generations of Adapa counted. In all, 30 sons and 30 daughters Adapa and Titi had. Of them, tillers of the land and shepherds for the Anunnaki toiled. By them did cetacean to the Anunnaki and civilized earthling come back. In the 97th Shar, to Sati, a son by his spouse Azura was born. By the name Enki is the annals he was recorded. Master of humanity meant his name. By Adapa his father, writing and numbers he made to understand, and who the Anunnaki were, and all about Nibiru by Adapa Enki was told. To Nibiru Ki, by the sons of Enlil he was taken. Secrets of the Anunnaki him they taught, how they perfumed oils for anointing Nanar, Enlil's on the earth the eldest him showed, how the elixir from the Inbu fruits to prepare, Ishkur, Enlil's youngest, him instructed. It was since then that by civilized man the Anunnaki lords were called, and of the rites of worship of the Anunnaki that the beginning was. Thereafter to Enki, by his sister Noam, a son was born, Cunin, he of the kilns. His name had the meaning, for by Nibruta, in bad Tiberia, he was tutored. Of furnace and kiln there he learned, how with bitumen's fire to make, how to smelt and refine he was taught. In the smelting and refining of gold for Nibiru, he and his offspring toiled. In the 98th Shar did this matter come about. Now this is the account of the generations of Adapa after Cain was exiled, and the heavenly journeys of Enki and the death of Adapa. In the 99th Shar, to Cunin, a son was born. By Molet, a half-sister of Cunin, he was conceived. Malalu, he who plays, she named him. In music and song he excelled. For him, Ninruta, a stringed harp, made a flute for him he shaped. Hymns to Ninruta Malalu played. With his daughters before Ninruta they sang. The spouse of Malalu, the daughter of his father's brother was. Duna was her name. In the 100th Shar, since the count on earth had begun, a son to Malalu and Duna was born. Their firstborn he was. Irid, he of the sweet waters, his mother Duna him named. Him Dumunzi how wells to dig he taught, for flocks in distant meadows water to provide. It was there by the wells in the meadows that shepherds and maidens gathered, where espousing and proliferation by civilized mankind exceedingly abounded. In his days the Ajiji to earth were more frequently coming. To observe and see from the heavens they increasingly abounded. To watch and see what on earth was transpiring they increasingly desired. To be with them on Lamu, Enki Marduk beseeched. To watch and see what on earth was transpiring Marduk more fervently wished. At a well in the meadows did Irid his spouse meet. Baraka was her name, the daughter of his mother's brother she was. At the conclusion of the 102nd Shar, a son to them was born, by the name Enki-me. By Enki-me, understanding in the annals, he was called. Wise and intelligent he was, numbers he quickly understood. About the heavens and all matters celestial he was constantly curious. To him the Lord Enki took a liking. Secrets once to Adapa revealed to him, he told. Of the family of the sun and the 12 celestial gods, Enki him was teaching, and how the months by the moon were counted, and the years by the sun, and how Nibiru the Shars were counted, and how the counts by Enki were combined, how the Lord Enki the circle of the heavens to 12 parts divided, a constellation to each one, how Enki assigned, 12 stations in a grand circle he arranged, how to honor the 12 Anunnaki, great leaders by names the stations were called. To explore the heavens Enki-me was eager. 2 celestial journeys he did make, and this is the account of Enki-me's journey to the heavens, and how the Ajiji troubles and intermarriages by Marduk were started. To be with Marduk and the landing place Enki-me was sent. From there Marduk in a rocket ship to the moon did him take. There what Marduk from his father Enki had learned to Enki-me he did teach. When to earth Enki-me returned, to be with Utu in Sipar, the palace of the chariots, he was sent. There a tablet for writing what he was learning by Utu to Enki-me was given. Utu in his bright adobe, a prince of earthlings, him installed. The rites him he taught, the functions of priesthood to begin. In Sipar with his spouse Edeni, a half-sister, Enki-me resided. To them in the 104th Shar a son was born. Matushal, his mother, him named, who by the bright waters raised, the name meant. It was after that Enki-me on his second journey to the heavens went. This time to Marduk was his mentor and companion. In a celestial chariot heavenward they soared. Toward the sun and away from it they circled. To visit the Ajiji on Lamu, by Marduk he was taken. To him the Ajiji a liking took. Of civilized earthlings from him they learned. Of him it is in the annals said that to the heavens he departed, that in the heavens he stayed till the end of his days. Before Enki-me for the heavens departed, all that in the heavens he was taught. In writings Enki-me a record made for his sons to know he wrote it. All that is in the heavens, in the family of the sun, he wrote down. All about the quarters of the earth, and its lands, and its rivers too. In the hands of Matushal, his firstborn son, the writings he entrusted, with his brothers Ragam and Gadid, to study and abide by. In the 104th Shar was Matushal born. To the Ajiji troubles and what Marduk had done was a witness. By his spouse Idnat, a son to Matushal was born. Lumak, mighty man, was his name. In his days conditions on earth became harsher. The toilers in the fields and meadows raised complaints. As a workmaster, the Anunnaki, Lumak appointed, the quotas to enforce, the rations to reduce. In his days it was that Adapa his death time attained. And when Adapa knew that his days to an end were coming, that all my sons and sons of sons assemble themselves to me, he said, that before I die I may bless them, and words to them speak before I die. And when Sati and the sons of the sons had gathered, where is Cain, my firstborn? Adapa of them all asked. Let him be fetched to them all, he said. Before the Lord Enki, Sati's father's wish presented. What to be done of the Lord, he asked. Enki then Ninruta summoned. Let the banished one, of whom the mentor you were, to Adapa's deathbed be brought. In his bird of heaven Ninruta betook himself. To the land of wandering he flew. Over the lands he roamed, from the skies for Cain he searched. And when he found, like on an eagle's wing, Cain to Adapa he brought. When of his son's arrival Adapa was informed. Let Cain and Sati before me come, Adapa said. Before their fathers the two came, Cain the firstborn on the right, Sati on the left. And the eyesight of Adapa having failed, for recognition his sons' faces he touched, and the face of Cain on the right was beardless, and the face of Sati on the left with beard was. Adapa put his right hand on the head of Sati, the one on the left, and he blessed him, and said, Of your seed shall the earth be filled, and of your seed, as a tree with 3 branches, mankind, a great calamity, shall survive. And he put his left hand on the face of Cain, on his right, and to him said, For your sin of your birthright you are deprived, but of your seed 7 nations shall come. In a realm set apart they shall thrive, distant lands they shall inhabit. But having your brother with a stone killed by a stone will be your end. And when Adapa finished these words saying, his hands dropped, and he signed, and said, Now summon my spouse Titi, and all the sons and all the daughters. And after my spirit leaves me, to my birthplace by the river carry me, and with my face toward the rising sun there bury me. Like a wounded beast Titi cried out. To her knees by Adapa's side she fell, and the 2 sons of Adapa, Cain and Sati, in a cloth his body wrapped. In a cave by the banks of the river, by Titi, shown Adapa they buried. In the midst of the 93rd Shar was he born, and by the end of the 180th he died. A long life for an earthling he had. The life cycle of Enki he did not have. And after Adapa was buried, Cain to his mother and brother farewell bade. Ninruta and his bird of heaven to the land of wandering him returned. And in a distant realm Cain had sons and daughters, and he for them a city built. And as he was building, by a falling stone he was killed. In the Eden, Lumok, as a workmaster the Anunnaki served. In the days of Lumok did Marduk and the Ajiji with earthlings intermarry.